Welcome students, welcome to the video of convolution encoder. This is lecture number 4. In this particular video, we will be going through the decoding of convolution encoder, and prominently we will be focusing on two types of decoding techniques: sequential decoding and Viterbi decoding. So let's begin the discussion. We assume that we have generated the code word out of convolution encoder. So encoding is complete and now the code word is transmitted, and we expect some errors in the received code word. So our aim is to detect the errors and we want to correct the errors, so that we want actual message which we had when we generated the code word. So that's the whole decoding process. So just to revise few things quickly, this is the encoder which we will be discussing. So this particular state diagram again represents the same encoder. The message which we are taking is 1 So let's first encode the message and then we will start with the decoding process. So the modified message is 1100. I hope you have gone through first 3 videos, so you know why we are padding 2 zeros here, and zeros is equal to capital K minus 1, where capital K is the constraint length. So all those concepts we have already covered in the earlier videos. So I'm going to encode the message 1100. So if I encode the message 1100, the code word which we get is 110101 and 11. You can try on your own with the help of state diagram. The first bit is 1, you are in the state A. First bit is 1, you go to B, but your output is 11. Now you are in B, you receive the next bit which is 1, so you go to D, your output is 01. Now the third bit which you receive is 0, so you move from D to C, your output is 01. And lastly, the last bit is 0, you come from C to A and your output is 11. So the code word is 110101 and 11. Now what we are going to assume is the received code word is 111100 and 11. So we introduce error at 2 different locations. This 0 is changed to 1 and then this 1 is changed to this zeros. Why we are introducing error of 2 bits? Because this convolution encoder has a capacity, inherent capability of correcting 2 bits of error. Why? Because we have calculated D free of the encoder, which is 5, and error correcting ability is D free minus 1 by 2, which is 2. So this convolution encoder has implied capacity, inherent capacity of correcting 2 bits of error. So we are changing the 2 bits. So the code word which we will receive is 111100 and 11. So let's go into decoding now. Prominently, there are 2 decoding techniques. One is sequential decoding and second is Viterbi decoding. So let's begin with the sequential decoding. The sequential decoding is initially proposed by Wozencraft, and then this is modified and represented for the first time in terms of algorithm by Fano. So this technique is also known by his name. So this is also many a times referred as Fano decoding. So let's start with the received code word 11110011. Again I am showing you the transmitted code word here for your reference. So it is assumed that the decoder has this code tree structure available with it. So let's start with the initial point. What you receive is 11. As your encoder is going to produce 2 bits at a time for encoding, we will take 2 bits at a time. So we will be taking pair of bits for decoding, not a single bit at a time. So what I receive first is 11 as the received bit. Now A has 2 options, 00 and 11. These are the 2 possibilities from A. If I go from A to A, my output is 00. If I go from A to B, my output is 11. Now the philosophy of sequential decoding is try to follow the path which will be closed to the input which you are receiving. You don't know whether the received input is correct or incorrect. So what, as a receiver, I receive 11. You really don't know that this 11 is correct or it is incorrect bit because of your noise or some errors during the transmission. But we just have to follow the rule which says that follow the rule or follow the path which will give you minimum number of errors. So from A here you have 2 options. I can go to B with output 11 or I can go to A. if I'm receiving 1 1 right now, naturally I will follow this path because I expect no error if I follow this path. So there will be an error counter. So if I follow this path, my error count is 0 because output is 1 1 and what you got is also 1 1. So there is no difference between your path and the output or input which you got. So I follow this path. So my error count here is 0. Imagine that if I follow this path, if I go from A to A, my output expected is 0 0, but I am receiving 1 1. So there is a difference of 2. So if I follow this path, my error count will hit a value of 2. Right? So this is what exactly is done in the sequential decoding. Now you are at this state and now you receive next pair of bit, which is 1 1. Now from B you can go to C, or from B you can go to D. There are only two options. But if I go from B to C, my output is 1 0, and if I go from B to D, my output is 0 1. But actually received bit is 1 1. So if I follow this path, I am going to get 1 bit of error, and if I follow this path, still I will be getting 1 bit of error. So now it's up to the decoder which path to be followed. So suppose decoder follows this path. So let's go to C. So how many bits are in error now? Your output expected is 1 0 and you are receiving 1 1. So your error counter will hit to 1. So your error count is updated to 1 because from this path to this path we did not receive any error, and from this path to this path we received 1 bit error. So my error count is 1 here. Right? Similarly, let's assume that now you are in C. You received the next pair 0 0. Now you have two options. Either you can go to A or you can go to B. So you naturally follow this path, right? And your error count is still 1 because your expected output is 0 0 and what you are getting is 0 0. This is the way the sequential decoding will work. Now this particular example is not sufficient to explore the complete philosophy of sequential decoding because you need number of stages to understand it completely. But in short, the algorithm says you follow a particular path, right? Then calculate the error count. You keep on updating the error count. Now you have some threshold to be decided. So if my threshold is say X, always compare with every decision at every node, compare the error count with threshold. If error count is equal to threshold, right, I need to revert my decision. So for example, let's hypothetically consider that you received something and you followed this particular path, right, and you reach to this node. Now you have two options. Either I can go here or I can go here. Suppose I follow this path, right? My error count is updated, but my error value is still below the threshold. So I continue this path. Now you reach, suppose, this path, right? This point, and now again you have two different paths. So now imagine again I follow this particular path and I update my error count. And if the error count is equal to threshold, that means my this decision is incorrect and I need to come back here and follow the second path. The moment error count hits the threshold, we need to revert the decision and come back to the previous point from where we have taken the diversion. Again I repeat, we started from this hypothetical example. I am not considering this example. I am explaining you the overall functioning of sequential decoding. So let's not take any specific example. I am just algorithm wise explaining this to you. So I started with this path for some received code word. I calculated my error count. I compared at this point, is it equal to threshold? If the answer is no, you continue this path. So now again I have two diversions. I can take this path or I can take this path. Suppose I have taken this path. Again my error count is updated. Now again I go here and compare my error count. Is it equal to threshold? If the answer is no, it is still not equal to threshold. It is less than threshold. So okay, this path is okay. So I take this path now. Again there are two possibilities. Now again I update my error count and I ask the question, is the error count equal to threshold? Now if the answer is yes, that means from up to this point there was no problem. I took this path and after taking this path my error count is equal to threshold. So this path is incorrect. I should take another path from this point, right? Now if I take this path and if I compare my error count and if it is not equal to threshold, if it is less than threshold, I can continue this. But now see, very important point. If I take this diversion and if I again calculate my error count, and if the error count matches with the threshold, that means this path is also incorrect. Now see the situation. From this point, if I take this path, right, I am getting error count equal to threshold, so I conclude this path is not correct. Even if I take this path, and if the error count is hitting the threshold, I say this path is also not correct. That clearly indicates this point itself is not correct, so I should not have come to this point from this point. So this path itself is incorrect, I should try this path. So this is the way the sequential decoding will proceed. Now when I take this path, again I repeat the same procedure. I take this path, again check the error count. So this is the way the sequential decoding will take place. So it will try to evaluate the path. It will continue on the same path till your error count is less than the threshold. The moment error count is equal to threshold, you revert the decision, you come back to the previous point and again evaluate the other path. If that path is also giving you the errors and error count is matching the threshold, then again come back to the previous point and again take the decision, right? So if you see this, the decoding time is a function of channel SNR. What is meaning of channel SNR? More time for low SNR. If I want to complete this decoding procedure, if the code word is coming via a channel and if the channel has low SNR, that means signal to noise ratio is less, then there are more possibility of getting more bits into error. And if the number of bits in error are more, you need to travel number of paths to finally decode the decoder. So that indicates that this decoding time is a function of channel SNR. If my channel SNR is good, I may have little less travel through this particular decoding process. Buffer requirement is more because I need to remember all the previous points. See, for this example, I started with this, I took this path, then we took this path, then we took this path. Now I need to come back to this point, for example. Maybe I need to come back to this point also if my error count is equal to threshold. So I need to remember all the previous tracks, all the previous signs through which I have come to a particular point. So your buffer requirement is more, right? And your number of states searched are independent of the constraint length. Later on we are going to compare this technique with Viterbi decoding, and there this point will be further clear. So depending on the constraint length, the complexity of Viterbi algorithm will be more, but this complexity is independent of your constraint length. So typically the sequential decoding is recommended if you have convolution encoder implemented with high constraint length, right? So I hope this particular sequential decoding is clear. I just take one more slide to explain you in a further better way. So let's go to the next slide. Now this slide is exactly not similar to this particular process, but roughly I will explain you. It will be very clear. You have a starting point here and you have your destination, and your goal is to reach the destination, right? Now in sequential decoding, our goal is not to reach any destination. The destination here is recover the correct code word. That is the destination. But just to have the analogy, I am saying that this is a starting point and this is your destination. So our destination here is decode all the bits properly and get the correct code word. That is our destination. Now this is the starting point, right? And you are moving from this point to this point. Now the threshold is 10 minutes. You assume that you have a journey, and after every 5 to 10 minutes, between 5 to 10 minutes, you will see a flag. So the moment you see a flag, you can assume that okay, that path may be correct. And what is the duration of the flag? I can see the flag anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes. So let's take a starting point of this. So let's try and explore this path. So now I start moving in this direction, right? I get a flag. So I assume that okay, this might be correct. Now there are two possibilities. I can take this route or I can take this route. So if I take this route, right? If I take this route, then after 5 minutes I am not getting any flag. After 10 minutes I am not getting any flag. So 10 minutes is my threshold. That means I have followed the incorrect path. So I need to go back. Now I explore the second path. I come forward, I get a flag. So that means yes, this path was wrong. Now this might be correct. Now I have again two divergence. I take this divergence, and even after 10 minutes I don't see any flag. That means this route is incorrect. So I take this route. Even after 10 minutes I don't see any flag. So this route is also incorrect. Now you have come to this point. and that indicates that this route is incorrect, this route is incorrect, that means this point is incorrect. So you go back here. Now we have already seen that going to this way is a wrong decision. Now we have concluded going to this way is also a wrong decision. That means this point itself is wrong. Now I have to again come here and take this path. Now once I start this path, I come here, I get another flag. Now there are two options, either this diversion or this diversion. Suppose I follow this path. After 10 minutes I don't see any flag. That means this path is incorrect. Go back. Now follow this path. Now at this path I get a flag. Okay, this is correct. I get a flag, this is correct. I get a flag, this is correct, and you come to the destination. This is exactly how the sequential decoding will work. At every stage, calculate your error count and compare the error count with threshold. In this particular explanation, I assume that my threshold is 10 minutes. So for 10 minutes, if I don't see a flag, I certainly assume that my path is incorrect. So I have taken a wrong decision. This is the way the sequential decoding will work, and it will explore the number of states. Right? I hope you have understood sequential decoding. Now let's go with the Viterbi decoding. The very important principle of Viterbi decoding is maximum likelihood decoding. So see the equation. Probability of R given C is equal to pi I going from 1 to n, probability of Ri given Ci. R is the received code word, C is actually the correct code word or a transmitted code word. Right? So this is depending on probability rule, independence rule of probability. It is probability of R1 given C1 into probability of R2 given C2 into probability of R3 given C3, where Ri is ith bit of the received code word and Ci is the ith bit of actual code word or transmitted code word. Why we have multiplication? Because error in one bit is independent of error in the other bit. So the total probability is multiplications of probability. This is equivalent to probability of A into probability of B. Right? So this is probability of R1 given C1 into probability of R2 given C2 and so on. Now to convert this multiplication into addition, we take log of both the sides. So if I take log of the left side, the multiplication will change to addition, and then we have summation I goes from 1 to n log 2 base 2 probability of Ri given Ci. Now this principle is called maximum likelihood. So I need to maximize this function. Right? If you maximize this function, that is the principle of Viterbi decoding. This is very important. Most of the times the confusing point is the same point. So what we need to assume, we need to maximize the function, means we need to estimate the correct code word which is most likely to give the received code word. Right? Why I am writing received given corrected? Because your event of corrected code word has already taken place. So you have already transmitted the correct code word from the encoding side. So your first event is correct code word which you have transmitted. Your current event is the code word which you have received. So I want probability of R given C. This function needs to be maximized. So as a decoder, you will receive the code word and now you want to predict what corrected code word must the encoder have been transmitted so that I am getting this as the received code word. Right? So it is, we need to estimate the correct code word which is most likely to give the received code word. Imagine that I am scrutinizing or I am scanning, say, answer book of some student, and I can say that I have received the answer book. What is the probability that this particular answer book belongs to a particular student? Maybe you have written a very nice answer sheet and I know few of the students by chance, and probability of students writing that particular answer paper is more. So I might be thinking my estimation, is it correct estimation? What is the probability that I am receiving this answer book? That means this particular student might have written this particular answer sheet. On the similar lines, we say that we need to estimate the correct code word which is most likely to give the received code word. This is sometimes confusing, but I hope you have understood this. So we need to maximize this function. So this is the principle of Viterbi decoding. Now we will see Viterbi decoding in detail and you will definitely understand this. Time being, I'll just skip this particular slide because you can come down to this slide once I explain this particular example and then you will understand this slide quickly. So let's take the Viterbi decoding. Now this decoding is used with the help of a trellis diagram. So we already have trellis, right? So we know the state diagram. I am taking the state diagram for the reference of completing this particular decoding process of trellis, right? Now in Viterbi we evaluate all the states. That is the difference between sequential decoding and Viterbi decoding. In sequential decoding, it's not necessary that you evaluate all the states. What do we do in sequential decoding is we follow a path, we continue the path till my error count is not equal to threshold. If it is equal to threshold, you revert your decision and you take the alternative route and somehow you get the correct route. Now in Viterbi decoding, we execute all the states, right? And there is a process which is called elimination process. When the elimination process is going to start? The elimination process will start when each of the node or each of the state receives two different inputs simultaneously. So in this particular diagram, at this point, this particular node or this particular state has two inputs, one coming from this, one coming from this. This state also has two inputs, one coming from this, one coming from this. This state also has two inputs coming from this and this. So all the four states, they receive the two inputs. Here the elimination process will start, right? That is the important point of Viterbi decoding. So let's see how we decode it. So the original message is 11, 01, 01 and 11. And your received message is 11, 11, 00 and 11. So we have 2 bits in our error. This 0 is changed to 1 and this 1 is changed to 0. Now see how it starts. Initially you are at state A, which is the initial point. Now you receive the pair of bits. So what you receive is 1, 1. Now at A you have two options. Either I can take A to A path or I can take A to B path, right? If it is a sequential decoding, we will see the difference and we will immediately take the decision that I should take this path. But in Viterbi, we evaluate all the possible paths. That's why we say that we evaluate all the states. So we take both the paths and we take evaluation of both the paths. So if I go from A to A, see the left hand side is received and the right hand side is actual. Actual in the sense, if I go from A to A, what output I expect. That is the meaning of this actual. So if I go from A to A, you refer the state diagram. If you remain in A, your output expected is 0, 0. And what you are receiving is 1, 1. So how many bits we have a difference? We have a difference of 2 bits. So if I take A to A path, my total difference or my total error at this point is 2 bits. So we write 2 here. Right? Now there is one more alternative. I can go from A to B. If I go from A to B, my output expected is 1, 1 and indeed right now I am receiving 1, 1. So if I go from A to B, my error count is 0 because this is what the output of transition we expect and this is what we receive. So if I assume that I follow this particular path, then my decision may match with the actual transmitted code word. So if I follow this path, right now there is no difference in the received and actual, so my error count is 0. That completes the first stage. Now in the second stage, you will have 4 transitions because again A can go to 2 different states and B can also go to 2 different states. So let's come to this point. I hope you have understood the first transition. Now if I go from this state, now you receive the second pair of ones. So it is 1, 1. So if I again decide to go from A to A, 1, 1 is the received pair, your expected is 0, 0 if I go from A to A. So again you have 2 bits of error. So my total error count is 2. Now from this point to this point, this is a branch, and from this point to this point, that is the complete path. So this particular error is called branch metric and this total error is called path metric, which is indicated here. This is called branch metric and this total is called path metric. So my branch metric is 2 here, but from this point to this point total is the path metric. So my path metric is 4 and at every node we write the path metric. So again I explain, I start with this. Initially I received 1, 1 If I follow this path, my total error count is 2, but if I have come to this point, my total error count is 0. Now assume that you have taken this decision. So from this point, I again evaluate two possibilities with the next pair of bits. So I receive next 1 1. So if I receive 1 1, if I again take this path, my total count reaches to 4. But if I take this path now, suppose I have come to A and now I am taking this path, right? So if I take this path, my expected output is 1 1, my received is 1 1, so there is no error. So branch error is 0, but as I am coming from this node to this node, this 2 will be carried forward and my total error count here is 2, right? Now assume that, so we have completed this transition. Now assume that you have reached to this instead of this. So previously, suppose I have reached to this state. Now I am receiving this pair of 1s. So if I follow this path, now from B you have two options. From B I can go to D, or from B I can go to C. If I go from B to C, my output expected is 1 0. If I go from B to D, my output expected is 0 1. So if I go from this to this, my expected output is 1 0, but what I am receiving now? 1 1. So how many bits are in error? There is a difference of 1 bit. So my branch count of error is 1, but as I am coming from this point here, my total count from this point to this point is 1, because this to this 0 error, this to this 1 bit error. So I have come to this point. Now imagine that you might not have taken this path and you might have taken this path, B to D. So if I go from B to D, my expected output is, actually I have written this opposite way. This should be 1 1 and this should be 0 1. 0 1 is the expected output and 1 1 is what you receive. So if I come across this branch, again I have 1 bit difference. So my total error count here is 1 from this point to this point, right? So how many states we have evaluated? Here we have evaluated only single state. We came forward. Now we have evaluated two states, from A to A to B, one possibility, or from B to C, B to D, another possibility. Now we have come to this point. Now at this point all the 4 states are active. So now with this setup, I receive next pair of bit, which is 0 0. Now if I take this path, now let's evaluate one node at a time. So imagine now you have taken earlier decision, now you are here. So when you are here, you receive next pair of bit, which is 0 0. Now when I receive 0 0, I might go from A to A. So if I go from A to A, my expected output is 0 0. What I am receiving is 0 0. So there is no addition in the error count. So my total error here is 0. So this 4 will be as it is. But now I am evaluating this node. Suppose I take this decision, right? Now expected is 1 1. I am receiving 0 0. So I have total error count of 2 when I go from this to this. But I already have error of 4. 4 plus 2. So this count will be 6. So that completes the transition from this node. Now let's take transitions from this node. Now this is again B. I can go from B to C, or if I go from B to D. If I go from B to C, my expected output is 1 0. Right now I am evaluating that against 0 0. So I have 1 bit of error. So earlier I have 2 plus 1, total count is 3 here. And if I go from B to D, my expected output is 0 1. I am evaluating this against 0 0. So again I have 1 bit of contradiction. So 2 plus 1, total is 3. So that completes this node. Now let's come to C. Now from C I can come to A, or from C I can come to B. If I come from C to A, my expected output is 1 1 1, right? So if I go from C to A, your expected output is 1 1, but now you are comparing that against 0 0. So there is additional error of 2 bits. But you are coming from C to A, so this is 1 bit error till this point plus 2 bits. So total error count here is 3, right? And if I go from C to B, my output is 0 0. So if I go from C to B, my expected output is 0 0. My actual received bit is 0 0. So there is no more error addition. So you have up to this point error of 1. No addition if I go from C to B. So my total error count is 1. Similarly, I can go from D to D, or I can go from D to C, and I can again check what is the error count. If I go from D to D, my output expected is 1 0. I'm evaluating that against 0 0, so 1 bit of error. Right now up to this point I have 1 bit of error. Now this to this 1 bit, so total error count is 2. And if I go from D to C, my expected output is 0 1, but I am getting 0 0 as the received bit, so the total error is again 1, so 1 plus 1 is 2. So up to this point, now this is very critical state. All the 4 nodes, they have 2 inputs coming to that node. So now this is the point where elimination will start. Now see, very important state. So this node has total 2 paths, one coming directly from this, but if I follow this path up to this node, I get total error value of 4, and another path is coming which is like this to this point, then from this point to this point, and this point to this point, then I am getting total count of 3. So this step says for each node retain only the path which is giving you less error and eliminate the higher error giving path. So if I take this node, I am going to eliminate this path because it is giving me total error count of 4, and I am going to retain this path which is giving me the error count of 3. For this node there are 2 paths. If I follow this path, I get total error of 6, but if I follow this path, I get total error of 1. So I am going to retain this path which is giving me the error count of 1, and I will eliminate 6. So after elimination, what I will be left with? 3, 1, 2 and 2. Every alternate part will be left. Here 4 will be eliminated, here 6 path will be eliminated, here the path which is giving you error of 3 will be eliminated, and here again the path which is giving you error of 3 will be eliminated, and remaining paths are maintained. So this is how the diagram will look like, this particular thing. For the first node I am maintaining this path of 3, for the second node I am maintaining this path of 1, for the third node I am maintaining the path of 2, and for the last node I am maintaining the path of 2. 3, 3, 6 and 4 are eliminated. So after elimination, I have one more pair to decode. So let's continue the decoding. Now we are at this particular point, and at this point we receive the last bit which is 1 1. Again the same process will be followed. For this point, again I have 2 possibilities. I can go from A to A or I can go from A to B. If I go from A to A, my output expected is 0 0, but I am comparing that against 1 1. So I have error of 2, so 3 plus 2 will be 5. If I go from A to B, my expected output is 1 1. I am evaluating that against 1 1, so no more error addition. So this 3 is taken as it is. So again do this for all the 4 nodes, the same process for all the 4 nodes, and then again you have the stage of elimination. So once your elimination starts, after every new pair of bits, you again have eliminations. So after first elimination, with every new pair of bit, you will again face elimination. Now once you calculate all these paths, again you get at this node you have 2 paths, 5 and 2. At this node you have 2 error counts, 3 and 4. So out of these 2, I am going to retain the path which will give me count of 2, and I will eliminate the path of 5. For this particular node, I am going to eliminate the path of 4, and I am going to retain the path of giving error 3. Here I will be eliminating the path which is giving me error of 3, and I will be retaining the path which will give me error of 2. And in this node, I will be keeping this path and I will be eliminating this path. So if I do this, this is the final picture what we get: 2, 3, 2, 2. And there are no more bits to receive because my message has already ended. This was the last pair which we received earlier. So now this is the final answer. Now theoretically, the concept says the minimum value path is actually the winner. Now we have a complicated situation here. Here I am getting this node with value 2, this node is also with value 2, this node is also with value 2, and this node has value 3. So out of these 3 2's, which path should be taken? So normally the thumb rule is the path which goes back to all 0 path. Now what is the state which is giving you all 0 state? It's the state A. So this is state A, this is state B, this is state C, and this is state D. So the path which goes back to state A, which is all 0 path, as a thumb rule we take this path. Otherwise the matter would have been easy. Suppose this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 3, then there was no discussion. Actually the path of 1 is clear, right? Or we could have this situation, this is 2, this is 3, this is 1, and maybe this is 2. So in that case, the path which is giving you the least value, so 1 would have been winner in that case. But right now we have the lowest value, which is 2, and that too 3 states are giving the value. So the thumb rule is to go back to the original state, that path will be selected. So if I compare the final path, this is this path, then this is this path, and this path. So that is my winner path, right? So if I take this path as I am coming from A to B, what is the output? 1, 1. Then I am going from B to D, what is the output? 0, 1. Then I am going from D to C, again what is the output? 0, 1. And when I go from C to A, what is the output? 1, 1. So actually what I have got? 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, which will match with the transmitted code word. Actually we calculated the process for this received code word, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1. And after all the elimination processes, the path which is the winning path, if I follow this path, what I get is 1, 1, again dotted path, so B to D, 0, 1, then solid path, so D to C, which is 0, 1, and C to A, 1, 1. So 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, which is the original message. So naturally in the process of elimination and calculating the error, the incorrect bits are by default got converted to the corrected code word. So we got the correct code word, which is 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1. So what will be the message? As I am taking this dotted path, so my message will be 1, again dotted path, again 1, solid path, so 0, solid path, which is 0, and that is where we started. We encoded the message here, right? 1, 1, 0, 0. So we got the same message here, because the moment I see the solid line, that means I expect that I am receiving 1. So 1, 1, 0, 0. That is exactly what the message which we have encoded. And the corrected code word what we got is this final code word, which is 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, which is the original transmitted message. This is how your Viterbi will work. So again we just repeat, we mark all the states and we assume that every state will have 2 transitions, and we evaluate compulsorily all the states, and don't here itself make the elimination. Don't be under assumptions that this path is giving me error of 2 and this path is giving me error of 0, so this path is eliminated. No, the elimination will start only when all the 4 nodes receive 2 inputs. So when all the nodes are active and all the nodes receive the 2 paths, there the elimination will start. Intermediately, don't go with the elimination, because maybe the right now the decision is incorrect, but later on this path may be incorrect. So your elimination will start only once you have all the nodes receiving 2 inputs. So it's very simple to calculate. Just for every state, assume that if I go from this to this, what is the actual output and what I am getting right now, what is the actual output, what I am getting right now, and calculate all the metric values. Again I repeat, or if I calculate the error only across the branch, that is called branch metric, and right from the initial point up to that particular point is called path metric. So this is how the Viterbi will work. I just hope you just go through this, try to solve this example on your own. You may try some different example. Now one question is, suppose I am at this elimination state and hypothetically assume that, say there is this node, for example, suppose this value is also 2 and this value is also 2. So you have come across a situation where you are in the elimination stage and that node is receiving 2 different inputs and both the inputs have total error count of 2. Then which one to eliminate? Then just toss a coin and select whichever path you want. Your decision may be correct or may be incorrect, but that is the only answer. There is no logic that which path should be taken, right? So just toss a coin and see which path you are going to retain. In the final answer you may get a corrected code word or you might get an incorrect code word, because that is a critical situation which has directly no answers. If both the branches are giving you the same error, then which branch should be eliminated? but this is how the Viterbi algorithm will work. Now just for the last comparison, the decoding time is a function of channel SNR. So depending on how many bits are in error, your decoding time will increase. The decoding time is independent of SNR. See, so if I am getting 4 bits, that is 4 pairs, total 8 bits, then this Viterbi decoding will come up with the decision at 4th stage. Suppose I have total 10 such pairs. So at the 10th clock, I am going to get the decision, irrespective of how many bits are in error. But that is not the case with sequential. Here buffer requirement is more. Here buffer requirement is naturally less, because I just calculate the total value and I start eliminating, and in fact after elimination there is no need to remember the other path. So buffer requirement is less. Number of states searched are independent of the constraint length. In Viterbi the complexity will increase with the constraint length. Why? Because if more constraint length, you have more stages, you will have number of times elimination, right? So this is for low values of constraint length, this is preferred, but this is popular algorithm compared to sequential decoding because of the buffer requirement is less and your decoding time is independent of how many bits are in error. So that is the video which we discussed about this sequential decoding and Viterbi decoding. I hope you have liked the video. Just go through it and just again verify the concepts of decoding and come to this particular lecture only when you go through first 3 videos. Okay, so I hope you have understood this particular concept of decoding. I also hope that you have enjoyed this particular video. So thank you. Let's conclude this decoding of convolution encoder. Thank you so much.